Okay, so we are going to do some intensive reading. I just started this yesterday. I picked the book Stravagantia by Laura Gallego, so I converted it to a PDF. I did buy this book, don't come for me, but I converted it to a PDF so that I can mark it up. I am mostly trying to pay attention to grammar things, but I am also looking up words that I don't know. So I did the first chapter. Putting this in the video is 100% inspired by Bridget versus Language or something like that, I think. I will have it linked below, but she is doing a series where she reads a book, and looks things up on camera. So chapter 2. So far, we started out with this girl going to a going away party for this boy in her class that she's been, in love with for years. He's ostensibly leaving to live with his dad in Canada for a while, so it's her last chance to say that she is interested in him so that they can stay in contact, but she can't decide if she's going to. She finally decides to, and then he basically vanishes with this mysterious, ethereal looking creature, and she reaches out and goes with them sort of accidentally. So, algo ralentizó su caída. Okay, that makes sense. Lento. Slows down. So this book is in past tense, third person. So, dejándola sin la respiración por un momento. La envolvió el sonido del follaje agitándose y sintió que las ramas azotaban sus piernas y sus brazos, leaving her without breath for a moment. The sound of, I think this is foliage. Yes. So the sound of the foliage rustling enveloped her, and she felt the tree branches azotaban, whip or lash her legs and arms. Seguía deslizándose hacia abajo, aunque mucho más despacio. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So we've gone from preterite to imperfect because it's continuing action. Okay, yeah, so something slows down her fall, which is a finished action. Oh, actually, this one was too, so this also, the tree branches are continuously lashing her legs and arms, and she continues falling down much more slowly. So she grabs on as she can to the vegetation, but she continues falling. We have an action, takes place, and we have a continuing. Se aferró como pudo a la vegetación, pero continuaba cayendo hasta que al final aterrizó sobre un suelo húmedo y blando. Until at last she lands on humid, soft ground. Se incorporó un poco, mareada y dolorida, y miró a su alrededor. She gathers herself a little, sits up a little, dizzy and in pain, and looked around. She expected to find herself in some type of basement or below ground, but she was in the middle of the forest. I do think this is interesting, the way that, I imagine you could also tell this as esperó encontrarse en alguna especie de sótano o subterráneo, but that would have a different connotation. I don't know. very interesting to think about. It's like something that your brain hasn't developed that sense of things because it's not a thing in your language. Like in English we have, she expected to find herself in some type of basement, or she had expected to find herself in some kind of basement. So those would have very, very minorly different connotations, but I wonder if it's a bigger difference in Spanish. If you are a native Spanish speaker, let me know. She had expected to find herself would mean that, like, this whole time as she was falling, she was expecting that, versus, like, she expected to find herself in would not have that same connotation. I don't know. Anyway, ¿qué farfulló? Miró hacia arriba. Lo último que recordaba era que estaba corriendo por el jardín de la casa de Eric cuando el suelo se había abierto o desvanecido bajo sus pies. Okay. So she looked up. The last thing she remembered was that she was running through the garden of the house, Eric's house's garden, when the ground had opened or vanished beneath her feet. Se había abierto is because she's thinking back to something. Welcome to the study session. Cabría esperar que hubiese caído por alguna alcantarilla abierta o algo por el estilo. So it could be expected that she had fallen through some kind of open drain or something of that sort. So we've got subjuntivo, as if she had fallen through some type of open drain. Anyway. Pero sobre ella, más allá del tamiz formado por las ramas de los árboles, había un cielo de un azul profundo como el de un zafiro, iluminado por lo que parecía un enorme sol anaranjado. Okay, there are two words here. So, I do not know tamiz or zafiro. Sieve. Oh, I should have thought of that. Okay, do you say sieve or sieve? But above her, higher than the sieve formed by the branches of the trees, there was a sky of such a deep blue, like a sapphire, illuminated by what appears to be an enormous orange sun. Frunció el ceño confusa. ¿Podría ser alguna clase de decorado? Girl, no. So, she furrowed her brow, confused. Or could this be some type of decoration? Bajó la vista para palpar la vegetación que había a sus pies. Todo parecía muy real. She looked down to touch or feel. Touch the vegetation that was at her feet. Everything seemed very real. Aquel lugar definitivamente no era la casa de Eric. ¿Cómo era posible? Tal vez se había desmayado y alguien la había llevado hasta ahí. Pero en este caso, ¿quién había sido? Okay. So, again, something that happened before something that happened in the past. So we're already in the past tense. So maybe before she had fainted and someone had brought her to here. Pensó en el hombre misterioso que había visto junto a Eric. No obstante, ninguno de los dos se encontraba allí. So I think I'm going to try to do this chapter and then move on to other study things because I'm in the mood too. So I need to capitalize on that.